Welcome back, everybody, to the daily show where we discuss and do technical analysis on big mega cap stocks. So, before we get started, please smash that like button, and 100 plus likes on this video would be greatly appreciated, guys. And if you're new here, consider subscribing. Now, if you want to support the channel and get my daily trade ideas, my swing trade ideas, live trading, and all kinds of setups, definitely check out their link down below in the description for Patreon. And now let's get right into it, guys. Welcome back, everybody. So before we get started, we do have lots of earnings this week, starting with Palantir on Monday. We got PayPal, Spotify, Pfizer on Tuesday, PepsiCo, AMD, Google, Snap, CMG, ENPH on Tuesday. We got Uber, Disney. Then we got Toyota Motor right here. That's a big one. We got ARM. Then we have Eli Lilly and the big one, Amazon on Thursday. Now, you're going to see lots of volatility here in this market. And why? Because Trump putting tariff on Canada, Mexico, China, and maybe even EU. So, that's going to cause lots of things to go up and down and all over the place. And inflation, you're talking about hyperinflation, guys. That's going to cause hyperinflation. Yes, it's good for, bringing more money into the states, but talking about average men, buying and trying to survive in this economy where things are already expensive, it's not going to be an easy one. And Jay Powell said, his goal is, to bring inflation down to 2%. With this, it's out of the window, and we might be going back up to 7%. And we are already at 7%. These numbers they're putting out totally fake. Nothing, is actually real. These are just numbers on paper. If you go out and try to buy something with your own money, you will know that things are not same as before. Now, let's dive into Nvidia stock and see what happened on Friday. On Nvidia stock, it was down on Friday, and you can see we got over 126, but big rejection at the end, and pretty much closing at the low of the day near this critical support 118. Now, what happened last time we broke 118? You can see huge flush down here. We went back up immediately, and then another flush, but it was a higher low, and then this thing exploded back up to all-time highs once again, and we recently got a fresh new all-time high also on Nvidia, which kind of looks like a double top on weekly. Now, talking about big names, this video might get a bit longer, so stay with me, guys. We need to talk about these names, especially Nvidia, Microsoft, and Apple, three big dog here in this market. Nvidia breaking down, massive gap down from DeepSeek. News came out last week Monday, and forget about closing this gap. We're just trading sideways pretty much. Not really going anywhere. Trading ranges like 118 and 126. So I think this week you're going to find out what's actually going to happen to Nvidia. Are we going to see a rally back up to close this massive gap, or you're going to see a dump off possibly tomorrow morning pre-market under 118? And if that happens, Nvidia heading down to 107 and maybe even $96 once again. So Nvidia, a big name, a big mega cap stock that is holding up the market for pretty much last 1.5 2 years. Now, finally, I would not call this a breakdown yet unless we take out this low down here. In that case, I mean, this might be a mini crash that we're going to see in the market, but so far it's holding here. So, yes, it's actually, a really good spot to maybe go long, but I would not go and put all my money on Nvidia, right at 118, because if this thing breaks it, it can come down a bit more. And if you're buying slowly, then you can buy more and more, and your average cost on Nvidia will be less. So going into Monday's session, guys, watch out. If this thing breaks over 126, that is when you can be a bit bullish, possibly over this candle right here, 129, I would say 128. As a matter of fact, forget about these candles. I would say stay bullish if this thing breaks over 130. That would be, a high over these candles, and that way you will know that Nvidia wants to close at least, some of that gap to the upside. Now, below 126, definitely it's not bullish, and if this thing gives up 118, with a gap down, you're going to see more downside 107 to even $96 on Nvidia stock. And here's my X account. And if you guys are on there, definitely give me a follow. And I do post all my videos. You'll get an update, charts and things that I look at every day, and especially some of my trade ideas. When I take them and, these trade ideas, I do share one or two here just to give you guys a glimpse of what we do in my Patreon group. And you can see Friday, a lot of people, they were extremely bullish, and I'm not saying this is easy, guys. A lot of people think this is easy. You can see triple Q. We got in at 10:02 a.m. puts 525, and the result is front of you. You can go and look at it. We might be going down even more. I got out completely, and this was a really nice trade. So people that are really serious and they want to take their trading to the next level, definitely, guys, check out my link down below in the description for Patreon. On Apple, stock is down 0.67%, and look at this massive bearish engulfing candle here on Apple. Now, also, guys, I took some puts on Apple on Friday. Did not share it with my Patreon group because it was a 0 DT, and I don't really share these trades that many times for the Patreon group because it's really risky. And what's happening, especially people that are new, they don't know, so they would just go all in on a trade like this and lose a ton of money. And I don't like to give out losing trades to my Patreon group. And that's why, these types of trades are really risky. You can only do that if you're actually a profitable trader, or maybe try with one or two contracts. If it goes against you, you might lose $100 or $200, and that is totally fine if you're holding a decent, balance in your account. But people that are like just starting, or maybe just learning how to trade options, and as soon as Apple goes up 4% and you're buying 0 DT right here and going all in, putting that 10 grand or whatever you have in your account, and then it goes against you, guess what? I mean, stop loss, it will work, but I mean, it's 0 DTE. You put a stop, it's going to get hit immediately. So risk to reward is huge, but you got to be profitable trader first before trading, and you need lots of experience in this market to trade something like this, which I know some people do, and I saw some profit on Friday. They actually got the same thing that I did, but not really a big position that I took on Apple. It was really nice, even a couple contracts, because it went to the moon. You can see 247 down to 233. It was huge. Now, why the market dropping? Well, not only the tariff, because big names like Apple drops, you got Microsoft not going up, massive dump off on earnings, and then Nvidia going down. So who is going to save the market? I don't think Palantir can save the market. Do you guys think that's going to happen? I don't think so, right? So that is why market going down. And now, especially tomorrow, guys, Monday, there is a huge possibility we might just go and gap down in the market. I may be wrong, because of what's happening, hyperinflation might be coming back because of these tariffs. And if that's the case, I mean, Jay Powell is just, he's gone. He cannot already control the inflation, and now with these new tariffs on Canada, then China and Mexico, what's going to happen? Hyperinflation. So I don't know, I mean, he must be hiding somewhere and thinking about like what the heck is going on. How am I supposed to control this inflation? Because now I'm pretty sure within if this actually continues going into Tuesday and goes on for a couple months, you will feel it. You're going to feel it at the groceries, gas pump, heat, electricity, everything. So this is something really big. Yes, it's bringing a lot of money, but also it's going to cause, especially people that are in middle class, to lose a lot of money. Buying food, buying gas, buying this and that. So I mean, it's just starting right now, guys. But if Trump is going for even more, tariffs, especially putting on EU, then you're going to see really, really bad hyperinflation, and a lot of people cannot afford that. So, and if there is no rate cuts, well, market got no juice because rates are staying where they are. And who knows, Powell might come back and raise rates again if inflation is going up. So this is overall a really bad news for the market. we just have to see how things play out this week. Now here on Apple, you can see we did not actually hold 237. We're closing at 236. So unless this thing breaks 237 and 240, then we might see that move up to this gap under 250. Otherwise, watch out for the downside down here at 234. That's going to be a support, negative sloping 20-day moving average. And below that, 230, and then maybe even down to 220. We also have a gap down here at 216. On AMD, it's down 2.45%, and they do have earnings this week on Tuesday, so that's going to be the fate of AMD. If they have some good earnings, some good guidance, then I can see a big pop and possibly AMD closing some of these gaps to the upside, maybe even this gap near 160. So going into tomorrow's session, all I'm expecting here on AMD might be a lot of chop before earnings, and then, depending on earnings, you're going to see a pop or maybe a drop even further. So here on AMD, going into tomorrow's session, resistance will be at 118, 122, and then we can talk about more upside. If this thing cannot recapture 118, next support will be down here at 110 on AMD. And you can see Bollinger Band slowly coming down, so it can go there if it wants to with earnings this week. So Netflix was slightly up on the day, 0.36%, but again, you can see went to 990, came back and closing over this 5-day moving average. You can see right here at what is it right here exactly? 974. So that's gonna be your line that's in 974. And if this thing gives up that support, we might be pulling back down here. That's gonna be around 964 and then 936. To the upside, definitely blue skies. And if this thing wants to run, 974 can hold. We might see that move up to 1000 on Netflix. On Google stock, it's up 1.47%. So Google, with earnings coming up this week, Google is up massively, way outside the Bollinger Band, hitting a brand new all-time high, 207.08. And then cooling off, not by that much, not even closing this gap at 203. So I'm expecting this gap to get filled early as tomorrow morning at 203. And if this support does not hold, you're going to see a dump off down to 200 to even 198 to close this gap down here. To the upside, yes, we're trading into blue skies. So if this thing wants to continue, it can go back up to 207, possibly up to even 212 with earnings, or even further from here, depending on this earnings that is coming out this week. On Amazon stock, it's up 1.30%. So Amazon also on a monster run. Yes, we did not hit a new all-time high on Friday, but it was really close to it. And you can see we did close over this 5-day moving average, 236. So 236.59, your key line in the sand. Below that, down here at 235, and then this support down here, 233 to 230. If this thing can hold over 5-day moving average 236.59, you're going to see the next move here on Amazon up to 242.80, and from there maybe even another brand new all-time high at 246 with earnings coming up on Thursday. On Tesla stock, it's up 1%. So we all know that Tesla is coiling up here inside this wedge. And you can see we got this, breakout type of candle, especially on Friday. But look at what happened. We came back in and barely holding 400 as a support into closing. So Tesla not quite out of the woods yet until this thing actually gets over, I would say, 411. If that holds right here, we might see a move up to 429, and maybe this gap fill reversal can come into play to the upside. Now, as of right now, Tesla earnings are behind, and 400 is the key level of support. Underneath that level, you're going to see a flush down to 379, 375, and then we have this gap that can actually come into play, 358. On Meta, it's up 0.32%. So this was on my watch list, and actually one of the trade ideas that I did not actually take. And I said it before, even in my video, that I don't like to trade Meta that often because of how this thing moves up and down, crazy moves. And when I see these types of moves on a stock like Meta, I try to stay away. But some people traded and they made money because the short area was 705, and we got there exactly on Friday, and then huge pullback down to 685. So that was a $20 pullback to the downside. Huge move. Now, if you look at my screen, Meta trading over this key zone right here, guys. This 682 level. So if that breaks, you're going to see a dump up down to this 5-day moving average, 677 and then 664 all the way down here. And then we can talk about possibly retesting 638, this breakout point, that previous all-time high on Meta. But as of right now, it's nowhere near that. So 682, your key line in the sand. And if this thing stays over, then you're going to see 700 plus once again on Meta back up to the upside. So I kept Microsoft to do the analysis at the end, and there is a reason because that's another big name, and we need to acknowledge that this is a massive bear flag. And Microsoft with earnings broke down. We got a massive gap down from 440, and now we're spending time underneath this bear flag right here, and that is technically not bullish. And it's not bullish for the market either because if this thing goes down, whole market will go down with Microsoft. So going into Monday's session, depending on where we open, you can see it was down on after our session another dollar, and we have critical support at 413 where we saw that bounce, and you can see Friday got up to 420, but a huge rejection came back. So if this thing wants to go down even more, it can. And why? You can see lower Bollinger Band pointing down straight to the downside, and it's right here at 405. So there might be another 10 $15 we might have downside here on Microsoft, so keep that in mind. And also, it's not trading inside this bear flag, and we're actually outside this trend line right here, you can see, which is at 425. So your key line in the sand right here at 413. Below that, we might see a drop down to 406, lower Bollinger Band, and then 400 flat. To the upside, there will be resistance at 425, actually 420, and then 425. Over that 428.40, negative sloping 20-day moving average 431.36, and then this gap might come into play completely at 440. So be careful. No matter what you do, don't go all in or anything like that in this market, especially with the current condition, what's happening in the market with a tariff and then inflation rising even more, maybe even more than what we had before. They were raising rates. So I mean, it could be a really big mess for the market, for overall everyone. And I just hope that everything just plays out really nicely, and we don't get to see that hyperinflation coming back, and things are more expensive for everyone. With that being said, guys, don't forget to hit that like button, and that's the only thing actually makes me go and make more videos for you guys. And I do appreciate each and every one of you guys hitting the like button, sharing, and supporting my content. And that's all I have for you guys in this video. I'll keep you updated going into tomorrow night.